Well, former Eskom executive Matshela Koko and his co-accused have been granted bail. They appeared in the Middelburg Magistrate's Court yesterday in connection with a multi-million-rand irregular contract linked to the Kusile power plant in Mpumalanga. The 8 suspects face charges of fraud and money laundering. Their bail conditions, including being barred from leaving the country or their province of residence without permission from the investigating officer. But let's unpack the story a bit further for you. Accountability Now's director, Advocate Paul Hoffman, joins us via our video link this morning. Advocate Hoffman, it's great to have you with us on the program. I mean, the state capture report said it, didn't it? He said, Justice Raymond Zondo, that Matshela Koko should be investigated for a raft of Gupta-linked deals at Eskom. And here we are.
Yes, here we are at long last, I think is the correct way to frame it, because the Gupta leaks also pointed in the direction of Mr. Koko and his extended family, going to his wife and to his 2 stepdaughters, who all treated Eskom's procurement system as if it was their personal piggy bank. And the sadness of this is that it has taken so long to get on top of one of the many irregularities in procurement in Eskom. I'll be impressed when the National Prosecuting Authority goes after those who were involved in the Hitachi Power Africa deal, which is even older. It goes back to the noughties, and they were naughty because what happened there was that the ANC was cut in on a procurement deal by becoming the empowerment partner of Hitachi. Hitachi has been prosecuted in the United States under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and it has paid a huge admission of guilt fine for its involvement in that deal. But everybody in South Africa sails on with complete impunity.
I mean, Matshela Koko himself, even yesterday, as he was appearing in court in Mpumalanga, said that government and this investigation and all of the investigators involved, that they're setting themselves up for failure. He's been quite vocal in various spaces on social media. He's talked about the fact that he has nothing to hide, nothing to answer insofar as state capture allegations against him are concerned. He said that he would, in fact, take the findings of the state capture inquiry on judicial review. That was a big announcement that was made. I think it was either earlier this year or last year. But it's something that he hasn't followed up on.
Yeah, now I'm afraid he is best described as a man who is whistling in the graveyard. He has abused the trust that the people of South Africa put in him to procure goods and services in a manner that is constitutionally compliant, which means that you have to be fair and equitable, you have to be cost-effective and transparent, while always seeing to it that the public money is properly spent and not spent on enriching your stepdaughters or your wife, for that matter. I mean, how he thinks he can get away with it is amazing to me.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Matshela Koko some time ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it was on this program, and he's never denied that his stepdaughter indeed did get this contract in connection with Kusile. But he says, you know, it's completely separate from him. In his executive position at Eskom, he was never involved in procurement. She was a businesswoman in her own right.
Yeah, I'm afraid that one is not going to fly for the simple reason that he's put himself in a conflict of interest situation because of the relationship with the stepdaughter. He ought to acquaint himself with the rules of procurement and how it can ever be fair for contracts in which he has a say as to where the contract is placed, get dished out to members of his own family. That is nepotism of the worst kind, and his defense of it is an indication that he has been drinking from the fountain of the culture of entitlement to such an extent that he's completely intoxicated and incapable of seeing just how wrong it is to enrich your family out of public procurement.
I mean, the numbers are eye-watering, aren't they? 2 billion rand was this Kusile contract that was awarded to Company A, shall we say, to install these systems at Kusile. And then in comes another company where his stepdaughter is a director. This company is subcontracted for this work. It's called Impulse International. This company making almost 550 million rand from being subcontracted, at least 30 million of that amount going to his stepdaughter, and what the case is arguing, going to Koko and his family as well.
No, I don't think there's any difficulty on the facts for the... in fact, he seems to admit the facts. That's the interesting part of it. But the sadness in the case, besides the big numbers, and we mustn't forget that 1.5 trillion rand, you're talking now in terms of millions and billions that have gone west on this particular deal. But overall, the estimates are between 1 and 1.5 trillion rand of your money and mine, the taxpayers' money in South Africa, has been frittered away on this state capture project, and the lack of alacrity with which the National Prosecuting Authority is tackling the matter is just giving the participants in state capture more time to fritter away the loot that ought to be paid back to the fiscus or to Eskom's own coffers.
I suppose the question now, Advocate Hoffman, is, the follow-through insofar as arrests and cases in connection with state capture is concerned. Number one,
yes. Do
we try and get that money back? How much of that money can we actually get back? And can we make the cases stick?
Yes, I think that pay back the money ought to be the first order of business, and it ought not to be done in terms of the criminal justice administration where the onus of proof is particularly hard. It ought to be done by way of civil proceedings throughout the world, not just in South Africa, wherever the loot has been put. And it's not difficult to trace where it's gone because the SWIFT banking system in Belgium actually monitors every transfer from bank to bank for anybody who's done any business through the banking world. If it has been turned into a flat in Dubai or a Rolls Royce in the garage or a yacht in the Mediterranean, it doesn't matter. Those assets are the proceeds of the crime, and they can be attached in order to get satisfaction for the South African taxpayer.
Yeah.
We do not have the political will to do it. We do not have the skill, the numbers, the capacity, and the resources in our criminal justice administration to do so. And until such time as the political leadership gets its head around the fact that South Africa seriously needs a new, standalone, permanent anti-corruption body, which we have been pleading for 10 years now, what we call a Chapter 9 Integrity Commission, but I don't mind what name you give it. I say that the government needs to get on top of the fact that without such a body, they are not going to recover the proceeds of state capture, and they're not going to issue any orange overalls for those who involve themselves in state capture. 1.5
trillion rand. That's a lot of zeros. Advocate Paul Hoffman, let me thank you for your time this morning. Director at Accountability Now.